Ruth Bader Ginsburg has died at the age of 87 in her home in Washington, D.C. from complications due to pancreatic cancer. She had been fighting cancer for several years, and she had been recently admitted a few months ago, I believe, and before that, she had been to the hospital several times. For those of you who don't know, Ruth Bader Ginsburg is one of nine Supreme Court justices. She was appointed by Bill Clinton, and she's only the second woman to be a Supreme Court justice, and she has died. For those of you who don't know the implications of that, that means that there will be a new, there has to be a new, there is a vacancy. There's now a vacancy in the Supreme Court, and it has to be filled, and Supreme Court justices are appointed by presidents, and there's only nine seats in the Supreme Court, and they are all lifetime appointments. Hence, Ruth Bader Ginsburg dying signals that this is now an open seat. Um, and it's obviously very politically advantageous because, I mean, think about it. Somebody appointed by Bill Clinton now in 2020 is just now leaving their office through means of death. But it's very politically advantageous to be able to appoint somebody to that sort of office because they can have decisions and has implications for decades. So for those of you who remember, Antonin Scalia died in the last year of Obama's presidency. There were 11 months left, and Obama did appoint somebody to be nominated, or did nominate somebody to be appointed to the seat to replace Antonin Scalia. And Mitch McConnell, who was the majority leader in the Senate at the time, refused to take a vote on it. So how this works is when a president nominates somebody for a Supreme Court seat, the Senate votes on it, and then that's when it gets confirmed. So this, the Senate refused to even have a vote, or I shouldn't say the Senate, but Mitch McConnell did. And the reason he cited was we should let the people decide when it came time to then elect a new president between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. McConnell refused to have a vote because he said the people will decide this November if they want a conservative or liberal justice. Usually, that's what happens is that not usually, all the time, is what happens is a Democrat will or a more liberal person will vote or nominate a liberal justice, and then conservatives will nominate conservative justices. This is how this works. And so McConnell wanted to hold off for that reason. He also cited so McConnell now has completely changed this tune, of course, because Republicans always compromise on their values whenever it's political. I've said this before. I've said it before. Since the beginning of this show, and I continue. It maintains through what goes on in reality, not through anything that I will it to be. This is just they continue to prove me right. He said that. Oh, what did he say? He cited precedent saying that a Senate doesn't vote on nominees on the last year of an opposing party's president. He said that hasn't happened since the 1880s, which is now his reason, which is his retroactive reasoning for not taking up a vote on Merrick Garland, because he said that hasn't happened since the 1880s, the opposing party voting on the president's nominee, which is not the reason he gave before. Again, that's the reason he gave before was that they should let the people decide. And of course they're changing, because if he maintains that reason, then he would have to maintain now. Well, we have an election in even less than 11 months. We have an election in Virginia has already started voting, literally. So it's like we have an election right now, and he can't say that same thing because then he'll have to not take a vote on this, and they need this. Republicans need this win. And he also obviously has announced that there will be a vote on Trump's nominee. Uh, Trump has now said he wants to replace without delay. That was in his statement this morning, literally the day after Ruth Bader Ginsburg's death. Which I look, and I guess this is not really political, but I don't want to hear anybody say like, "Oh man, we should not be, a person is dead. Let's not talk about no, I mean, this is entirely. I haven't heard anybody make that argument, but I'm very afraid, especially when we're talking about the implications of this. People saying she's dead, let her family mourn, give time. Like, no, there are serious political implications to this, and we need to talk about it. Even Trump, because Trump doesn't care. A day later, he's gonna say we need to do this without delay because it's gonna be gone. He's gonna be gone in a few months, hopefully, or maybe a few months in 4 years. So we'll see. And so we are in danger because this could seriously happen right now. Well, not right now anymore, I guess, but as it was when Ruth Bader Ginsburg was still alive, there were four liberal justices and five conservative justices. Oftentimes, John Roberts, who's the Chief Justice, voted with the liberals in recent decisions on LGBTQ rights, I believe, or no, yes, no, on LGBTQ rights of workers in the of workers in the workplace. John Roberts occasionally votes with the liberals, but now it's 3 to 5, five conservatives, three liberals, and it's soon to be, if Trump and Republicans get their way, 6-3 for decades, probably for the majority of my life. So who has Trump been who would Trump nominate? Well, he has said just in the past few weeks he would nominate a part of his list that of his nominees would be Ted Cruz and Tom Cotton. Ted Cruz has said he doesn't want to be a Supreme Court justice, but Ted Cruz but this is a good point for which we can reference who is Donald Trump looking for. And Ted Cruz and Tom Cotton are some of the most extreme Trump-like far right figures in the Republican Party. Ted Cruz has literally said in the past the way to save America is to turn it into a theocracy. He's repeatedly appeared at anti-LGBTQ rallies and associated himself with that type of crowd. Tom Cotton tweeted a few days ago, "It's time for Roe v. Wade to go," and Roe v. Wade is obviously what protects people's right to safe abortions in this country. And Republicans have been trying to get rid of that for a long time and have been trying to take control of the Supreme Court to strike down or reverse the decision on Roe v. Wade to then limit abortions or put harsher restrictions on abortions in this country. And Tom Cotton is very open about this. And, with the theocrat that Ted Cruz is, we see that it's going to be a very far right judge. And abortion is on the ballot. Well, I don't even know if it's fair to say it's on the ballot this year because they could get this nomination before the election. I mean, just think about the time between when Trump loses the election and Biden is declared president. I don't know, ordained. What's the word here? When he becomes president, when he takes office. Sure. I don't. I don't. I don't doubt anything, and I'm just getting breaking news currently, actually, right now as I'm speaking this, that Susan Collins from Maine, as a Republican from Maine, says that Republicans should wait until the 2020 election to vote on the Supreme Court nominee. And Mitt Romney has also pledged to do the same thing. So, two Senate Republicans are now saying that they should wait. So maybe they won't vote, or maybe they'll vote no, which I doubt. Or we'll see what happens over the next few days. This is just developing. Ruth Bader Ginsburg died yesterday, again at the age of 87, and it's very tragic. And I'm sure we're going to be talking about this for a long time, for decades probably to come. So there was a recent whistleblower complaint filed by a nurse who works at the Irwin County Detention Center, in Georgia. And in her complaint, the whistleblower nurse reported a alarming amount of hysterectomies taking place on migrant women who are housed at these ICE detention facilities. So a hysterectomy, for those who don't know, is when you have your uterus removed. This obviously prevents you from being able to bear children and have periods for the rest of your life, and is obviously a very invasive procedure. And the fact that this was in a whistleblower complaint is very disturbing. The whole report is 27 pages long. I didn't read the whole thing. I'm gonna be completely honest. I skimmed through most of it. I skimmed through the whole thing, and then I read the part about the hysterectomies, which is a small part of the entire report, and we'll talk about that. Well, not a small part. It's actually like about a page and a half, I think, but it's a portion of what the complaint was about. Um, it alleges that multiple migrant women have received hysterectomies, sometimes without their consent or full knowledge of what's going on. Uh, there was a report of one woman who got three different reasons for why she was having a surgery. She eventually didn't even have the surgery, or I actually don't remember in the complaint if they alleged, if or not alleged, but if she had the surgery after all, or some sort of surgery. But what was alleged was that she asked three separate people, the migrant woman, what was going on, why she was being taken to a care facility to have surgery, and they gave her three different reasons for her surgery and three different explanations as to what the surgery was actually going to entail. And there was also a report of a mistaken surgery of a migrant woman who was getting one of her ovaries removed, and then after waking up from the anesthesia was told she would have to go back under and have her other ovary removed because the doctor mistakenly took the incorrect ovary that needed to be removed. Um, the report was mostly about unsafe work conditions. Like, the vast majority of the report was about how uh, people are required to come in, workers are required to come in who have tested, even if they have tested positive for COVID-19, if they are symptomatic or if they have been exposed, they are told to come in. And the nurse, whose name is Dawn Wooten, actually, she had been symptomatic and had a doctor's note telling her not to go into work. And when she did not go into work, she was reprimanded actually and demoted as from full time to on call. And this shows a total lack of respect for human life and care for human life, in that they don't care about if these immigrants get sick or if other people in the workplace get sick. Again, the majority of this report was about unsafe working conditions, and I skimmed through a lot of it, and the allegations are incredible. They're very shocking, I guess you could say. And this place is run by it's a private detention facility run by LaSalle Corrections, LASALLE. This is in Irwin County. So only one person, only one of the migrant women. Uh, no, I'm sorry. There are two migrant women now who are represented by lawyers who are planning on testifying or are cooperating with the investigation and what's going on. One of the women had a surgery in which more was removed from her uterus. It was another uterine surgery. More was removed from her uterus than was originally planned and talked about before she went under. When she woke up, they told her that they removed a lot more. And actually, this woman was going to be deported. And when this complaint came out, Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal and another congresswoman, I forgot who, a Democratic congresswoman from Montana, I believe, she stopped the deportation. She halted it. She asked for this woman to be taken off the plane. She was literally on the plane, ready to go, and she will now be testifying before Congress. And Congress is going to do an investigation. So is the Department of Homeland Security into these allegations. And ICE and the facility in which this took place have completely denied this. Among further allegations are that it is a particular doctor who is committing this high rate of hysterectomies, and even among nurses who work at the detention facility, which is separate from the hospital which this takes place, have discussed among themselves the alarming number of hysterectomies that have taken place, and have wondered if this doctor is collecting them, which is, it's very concerning. So now, those are just the facts. That's everything that's happened so far. Like, I invite you to look this up, and you can find the original whistleblower complaint on the original article about this from the Intercept. Uh, the obvious concern here is that, look, we know that we had a migrant policy that was shaped by Stephen Miller, which is a known white nationalist who was working in the Trump campaign or the Trump administration. Obviously, no longer works there. But we had white supremacists who were literally shaping our immigrant policy at the beginning of the Trump presidency. And now we have something that it appears to be a sterilization of foreign, different colored people. I mean, that's just what it appears to be. I don't know how else to say it. It's akin to a genocide. It is of that sort of character. It has genocidal characteristics. When we think about it, there's just so much wrong here. I mean, I kind of just I feel like I could do a whole deep dive episode on everything that's wrong and everything that led up to what's wrong here. But I guess I'm really just gonna report the facts and just let this story sit in your mind. I don't know how many people are hearing or talking about this, but it's really important because this further shows why we don't need private corporations to be running these things. Why do we have private corporations taking care of immigrants and facilitating their deportation and detention and health care? Right? People who, I mean, they have rights ostensibly, right? But they're not American citizens. They very often can't speak the language. In this report, it was alleged that, again, very often women didn't even fully understand the surgeries that were going to happen to them because they weren't getting proper translations. They signed off on things that they didn't fully understand. A lot of women, when they woke up, they were, I mean, I can't even imagine what it's like for you to wake up and your uterus is now removed, and what do you do with yourself after that? I mean, again, maybe I hate to put it in those sorts of terms because you can still live a good life, but for somebody who might have wanted to have children, or who having a uterus is part of their identity as a woman, I can't even imagine what that must have been like. And the reason we can't keep these in private hands, and the reason that we expect these things to happen when they are taken care of by private companies, is that the concern for these companies isn't how can we provide the best health care to the most amount of people, how can we facilitate most efficiently deportations while still maintaining people's human rights and dignities. Their main priority is their bottom line. Now, I don't know if there were financial considerations into why so many uteruses were removed. Maybe if I don't know. Maybe if they drive up the hospital costs, they get some sort of kickback, or doctors get paid for the more amount of surgeries that they do, and the more invasive that they. I have no idea. This is me totally speculating and spitballing, but this is a new story. It hasn't been investigated completely thoroughly. It's about a week old. Again, this is another one we're probably going to have to touch on again in a few months. The entire allegation was mostly about COVID. There was like a page and a half about this hysterectomy stuff, and they even said in a statement, I forgot exactly who wrote the whistleblower complaint, but it was a coalition of not corporations, a coalition of movements and organizations that backed the nurse in this whistleblower complaint. And I believe somebody from one of these organizations, I remembered when I was researching this earlier, said that they included the hysterectomy part to get that national attention, so that this would make headlines, because if it was just a whistleblower complaint about inadequate conditions of COVID, it might have not gotten the exposure that they needed. So I mean, and again, I'm just telling you that because I'm trying to be honest. A lot of places and a lot of leftist media organizations, they won't tell you that. They'll just tell you the hysterectomy thing and say, oh my God, there's a genocide happening on our southern border, which could be the case. I'm not saying that's not the case. That could absolutely be happening, and I would even be inclined to believe that that's happening. But from what I've read so far about why they released this the way it is, I believe this. I believe what they're telling is the truth as they know it. I don't have any reason to believe that they're lying about what's happening. But they specifically included the hysterectomy part to give it national attention, and to bring to light the what I guess they see as the forefront issue, which is unsafe working conditions for the workers at these facilities and the migrants. And then obviously, if you have fears of your uterus being removed, those are unsafe conditions as well. But just to be completely transparent about how this story broke, and because it's a hard a lot of the time to, because these things are articles of this and that, and the original document is always hardest to find. But I encourage you to go out and look for it and read it yourself. So Donald Trump is obviously moving more authoritarian as we get closer and closer to election day. He's moving farther right. He's appealing more to the culture war. This is literally, I mean, I made entire episodes about the culture war, an entire episode about the culture war that Donald Trump is really pushing as we get closer to the election. So what is Donald Trump now? So Donald Trump had the first ever conference on American history. Wow, very brave. This is exactly what we need right now when we have the largest amount of deaths, and from any other developed nation in COVID have the worst mortality rate, all of it. And this is what we need to be doing. We need to be having press conferences on American history. So what did Trump say? I'll let you listen. Trump is now wanting to implement, or he has now implemented a commission to do something, and I'll let him tell you.
Today, I'm also pleased to announce that I will soon sign an executive order establishing a national commission to promote patriotic education. It will be called the 1776 Commission.
Okay, my apologies. He didn't already sign it, but he plans on signing an executive order to create a commission. So the 1776 project, is that what he said? I don't remember. That was 10 seconds ago, so long ago. But 1776 commission, I believe, to promote patriotic education. Where have we heard things like this before? Where have we heard about a leader exhibiting fascistic qualities, trying to galvanize support from young people around patriotism? I don't know. Hitler Youth, obviously. Look, I'm not calling this akin to Hitler Youth, but the comparison is being made, obviously, and the comparison is being made correctly and astutely, actually, because Trump has exhibited fascistic qualities, as I've made videos about in the past. Watch those. And those, along with now wanting to, he said in the same speech during the conference on American history that American education has been taken over by the radical left, that they want to teach people that we are a hateful nation and this and that, and you know, the typical stuff you hear from conservatives when it comes to liberal indoctrination in our public education. And the main reason for this is the 1776 project, or I'm sorry, the 1619 project. And if you haven't heard of the 1619 project, it's a project by the New York Times to rewrite, not rewrite as in to alter, but into reframe, I guess is a better term, to reframe American history as starting when the first slave was brought to its shores, to our shores in 1619, and that America has been built off of the labor of black people, and has since been a continuation from 1619 to now, in which slavery and black culture has implications in our society. So Donald Trump has been going on a tirade against the 1619 project for a long time, and now his ultimate response to this is his own year and commission on education, which is the 1776 commission, I think is what he called it again. Again, 1776 is when the Declaration of Independence was signed, and it's also a year often used by this. I mean, this is a total signal to the white middle-aged guy, you know, the guys who wear the Under Armour hats and the flagged shirts and the mask under their nose. This is a total signal to them saying 1776 commission, you know, they're obsessed with 1776 and 3%ers and, you know, the LARPer type chud guys. You know exactly what I'm talking about. This is a signal to them, and it's totally fascistic and authoritarian in nature. Patriotism, social re-education. These are things we think these are things we think of as hearing in China or in the DPRK, of educating people socially or on teaching them how to love the nation and giving them education that would make them more likely to, be patriotic or serve in the military, or show them that in reality we are a righteous nation. We are a good and righteous people. I mean, this is exactly straight out of the fascist playbook, and we can't afford 4 more years of this. We really can't. There's not much more to say on this story. I mean, other than I show it to you. I tell you, wow, look at this. This is exactly what we expected. This is exactly what I've been talking about for as long as I've had this channel. And this is literally, I've predicted this, and everybody. But I'm not some sort of super smart person who can see. Everybody's seeing this. He's going farther to the right. He's going more fascistic, authoritarian. We can't afford 4 more years of this. Is the real lesson we should get from here. But anyway, that's my episode for today. I think we talked about it. So I'm trying to talk about more in a shorter amount of time. Usually this is one of my 3-parters, like I did in the past. And usually my 3-parters could get up to like 50 minutes and sometimes, and I'm trying to cut back on that. My last one was 29 minutes, and it was only one topic. See, this one I got 3 topics in there in 25 minutes. I think this is a lot better. Let me know. Not that I get that many comments anyway, but if you're listening to this, please let me know if this is a better format that you would like. I'm probably going to do it more often anyway, just because it gives me more time, and it forces me to get more information and make sure everything's correct in a shorter amount of time to get out to you guys. Because if I have a lot of time to talk about something, I'll give more of my opinion and speculate as to this and that. But if I have a shorter amount of time, I'll just get straight to the facts and then right to whatever my opinion is, and then we'll be out of here. But again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.